Hello. How y'all doing?
I have a dream.
You do? Well, we want to participate.
Ask what you can do for your country.
You better work.
As one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hello, welcome to Bonus Features. My name is Christy, and I'm here with my co-host, Alex. It is early in the morning. We are incapable of recording this podcast at a reasonable hour in the day. It's either very early or very late.
Isn't it like 9 o'clock in the morning right now?
Yes, it's very early.
Yeah.
Extremely early.
Oh my God, you really...
Also,
No.
I'm on round 2 of sickness. I was sick, and then Alex got sick, and then I immediately got sick again, which has never happened to me before in my
crazy.
life.
We're passing back and forth.
You're next again.
Oh my God,
Round
I better
2.
not get sick again. That would suck. I forgot what it was like to not be sick. Don't take it for granted. If you're unsick, if you're
unsick.
if you're healthy right now, man, get out there and just fucking move your body. You don't realize how important your health is.
All right, well, do you remember where we left off last week?
We left off Ma sitting on the steps, weeping for her taken husband and dead child, with no real hope on the horizon at all.
Well, she did have hope because they told her that Pa had
Yes.
started his own army in the jungle.
Yes, she had false hope. I have no hope.
Correct. Last we left off, Kiev had passed away in the hospital due to dysentery, and Pa had been taken by the Khmer Rouge. By the way, a lot of people online were saying that I say Khmer wrong. Apparently, it's supposed to be... I don't even know what it's supposed to be.
A lot of people coping online too. I was reading and they go, you know, they're not that bad. They weren't really doing communism. They weren't doing communism. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I was on a communist website and they're like, communism is still good because this wasn't communism.
Wow. Yeah, so I'm just going to continue to say Khmer because, like, I'm a Canadian. I don't...
How are they saying you say it?
I don't know.
What's the right
They
way to
kept
say it?
making fun of how I say it online.
Khmer Rouge.
And you know what? I'm Canadian. I obviously am not going to say it the correct Cambodian way because I'm not Cambodian.
Look,
I don't speak that dialect.
If you're Cambodian, send us in a audio recording of you saying it correctly. We'll happily play it.
It's like people online were saying it's like people who go to Paris and they say Paris.
So they're getting mad at you for saying it right? Because they say you're a tryhard? Is that what it is?
No, they're saying they
you
were
have to
counteracting the people criticizing me going, well,
Oh.
she's Canadian. It's like she's not going to say it correctly because it's like someone going to Paris and saying Paris. Like nobody says Paris, you know.
There's definitely people that go and say Paris.
Wow.
Who are foreign exchange students. I was studying in Paris. A croissant. I say croissant. You actually get mad at me.
Croissant. You sound like a child.
Doesn't that sound fresh and delicious in the morning?
Hello. Okay, so I'd like to give you a little bit of a background on Pol Pot before we dive back into the story, just so you can see how hypocritical this man is.
Okay.
All right.
The guy in charge.
Yeah. Pol Pot was born in a village outside of the...
Oh, he's getting mad. Fresco's
You
mad.
hate Pol Pot. Pol Pot was born in a village just outside of the city of Kampong Thom. He was named...
Tampon thong. That's bad. Should have known right there.
He was named Saloth Sar. The name Sar meaning white and pale, which referenced
Oh my
his
God.
complexion.
Who's he, Voldemort?
His family was mixed race Chinese and ethnic Khmer. His father was a farmer who owned a large amount of land and hired poorer villagers to do the labor for him. They were also a very religious family, devout Buddhists.
They really instilled peace and mindfulness into this boy's head. Buddha would be so proud of you.
Although he came from a wealthy family, in interviews he claimed he was born into a poor peasant family.
That's actually crazy, hey? Like the amount of people that probably don't understand that there's a super like Hall of Fame dictator who is a Buddhist. They think that they're, oh, I'm a Buddhist. We don't have a history of bad stuff.
Yeah. He had many forms of education, including Roman Catholic primary school and others. He was literate in French and very familiar in other religions such as Christianity. So there you go. There's the Christianity part. In 1942, when a new school was established in Kampong Cham, Pol Pot was selected to board here, which awarded him a privileged position in Cambodian society. Here, he learned to play the violin and took part in many school plays, touring to raise money.
It's the most untrustworthy instrument. Nikocado Avocado, violin player.
Liar.
And liar. I don't find it funny. I don't find this 2 steps ahead. Well, now I'm angry because now you've made me look like a fool. I've been making fun of him. And he's thin this entire time. Now I have to hurt you. Now I have to find Nikocado Avocado in real life.
Now his whole content is
I'm 3 steps ahead.
Now his content is him just dancing and going 2 steps ahead.
Yeah, the joke is kind of on him, isn't it? Because he's not entertaining anymore.
Yeah.
Get fat again. Petition to get Nikocado Avocado fat again.
He also played sports such as soccer and basketball. In 1948, he studied carpentry at the École Technique just outside of Phnom Penh. His fellow classmates here were from a lower class. In 1949, he traveled to France to study at an engineering school. This abroad education placed Pol Pot in a tiny elite league of his own compared to other Cambodians. He lived in Paris in 1949 and 1950. He enrolled in another school to study radio electronics. So are you getting the idea that Pol Pot has an immense amount of education, especially for somebody who lives in Cambodia during the 40s?
He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth.
Yep.
Yeah. So he's going to go on, obviously, to
Respect educated people.
Educated people, yeah.
He spent 3 years in Paris. In Paris, he became a part of a Marxist circle.
Well, I was looking at the court photos from all the bad guys later.
Yeah.
When some of them were getting their comeuppance. They're wearing fucking glasses.
I know.
Oh, let me read these court documents with my glasses.
I know.
Fucking bitch.
In Paris, he became a part of a Marxist circle where him and his peers got together to read Marxist texts. A few months later, he became a part of the French Communist Party, and to many young people back then, communism seemed to be the future.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't as they are the failure time, right? Like,
sure, there's no
this
example.
is not as historical.
As I said, it sounds good on paper. In real life, it's not.
Sure, it sounds good on paper, yes.
He then started familiarizing himself with the writings of Joseph Stalin and Chairman Mao. During this time, tension is rising in the Cambodian monarch government. Pol Pot's group determined to send him back to Cambodia to assess the situation and determine which rebel group they should support, beginning the start of the communist faction Khmer Rouge and the takeover of the government. So that's a little background on Pol Pot. Honestly, we could do a whole episode on Pol Pot, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how hypocritical this man is.
Well, did he renounce all of that? Like,
no.
So he's still, I mean, yeah, he's literally intellectually studying communism.
Exactly. He has years of education.
He wouldn't even be able to read if he was growing up in his Cambodia.
He has years of education in different backgrounds. Like, he's studied multiple things now at this point. And he's wealthy enough to travel to a European country.
Oh my God. You should never trust somebody who studies abroad. Anyone? All these people that go, oh, I'm taking a gap year. Pol Pot. You're Pol Pot.
April 19th, 1977, 2 years since the Khmer Rouge have taken over Cambodia and forced everyone out of the city of Phnom Penh. Keem has taken Pa's word to be the man of the family very seriously, despite only being 12 years old. The family is starving, and Keem brings up the idea to Ma about stealing some of the ripe corn that is in the field. There is so much there, and they work all day. It's only fair to eat some. Even though it would be considered stealing, getting caught for doing so would cost them their lives.
Where is the corn going?
In their mouths.
Oh.
They're sending it to a lot of the soldiers that are working on the border between. You'll see there's tensions building between Vietnam and Cambodia.
Yeah.
And so they're taking all of their resources and they're sending it to the Khmer Rouge.
Okay.
Rumor has it that soldiers rape girls caught stealing no matter how old or young they are. Keem says he's going to do it no matter what his ma says and that the family needs to eat.
They also rape girls who aren't stealing corn. So
Yeah, they
I mean,
rape everyone. When night falls, Keem disappears into the fields and the family waits anxiously for him to return. Minutes feel like hours as they desperately wait for him to walk back into the hut. Eventually, Keem returns carrying 2 bags of fresh, ripe, juicy corn. The mission was a success. He says the fields are so big that it can't be all guarded, especially at night. The soldiers have been patrolling the huts less and less as the fathers have been taken from the families. Ma cooks the corn and the family feasts. Every single night, this ritual continues. Keem disappears into the night and the family waits on edge for his return. Any night could be his last, but for dozens of nights he has been successful, risking his life to feed his family.
That's fucking cool, man.
And he's only 12. Insane.
I can't even risk jail time. I privated a clip last night because I went, this is too dangerous for me. This prank call is going to put my family maybe that is honorable, actually. I don't know if that's cowardly, or honorable. I want to continue to provide corn, Tabor corn, for my family.
Tabor corn is so good. Until one night when he's caught feasting on corn in the field.
He's eating the corn in the field?
Yeah, he would get into the field and he would take one for himself and devour it before filling the bag and leaving evidence behind.
I mean, imagine how hungry you are, though.
He's
and you
starving.
have the corn. Yeah.
And we also got to remember,
Can't blame him.
corn doesn't have that much sustenance to it. Like, you basically just poo it out.
Yeah.
A Khmer Rouge soldier grabs him from behind and smashes his face into the mud. They yell at him and brutally beat him, scolding him for stealing from the Angkar. They assault him throughout the night until one of the soldiers hits him in the back of the head with his rifle and he blacks out. Meanwhile, Ma and his sisters wait at home anxiously, wondering why this is taking him longer than usual. After hours and hours of waiting...
What is there... Aren't any of these soldiers just like, I'm just doing my job, man? Like the guy at the end of Fury.
I was wondering
You know
that.
what I mean? It's almost like, okay, just go. Like, doesn't there come a point where they go like, this sucks? I have to rape and murder. Like, I'm a good guy. I was in a band before this started.
It's a little bit like the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah, it is. But I always feel like maybe this is only in movies, but there's that one guy who rises to the occasion, you know, and doesn't do the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there were in the entire country of Cambodia probably a few people who were like, what the fuck are we doing here? But
when someone's escaping out of North Korea and everyone's shooting at them, it's like, well, we have to shoot at him. Otherwise,
you'll get killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When somebody's like, we got a corn stealer, we got to beat him. You're like, let's do it. I'm crying. This is horrible. Let's do it. Let's beat this child for wanting to eat food.
Yeah, ridiculous. Meanwhile, Ma and his sisters wait at home anxiously, wondering why this is taking him longer than usual. After hours and hours of waiting, Keem's blood-drenched silhouette emerges into the door of the hut.
With no corn.
No. His family rushed to his aid, shocked at his appearance. He was lucky to be spared by the soldiers, and he never stole again.
He probably did meet the nicer soldiers because
they spared him.
Yeah, the meaner ones would have raped and killed him.
Well, remember in the last episode,
sure.
I told you that people who are caught stealing get their fingers cut off in the public square, and then they have to go work in the mines.
Yeah.
like explosions. So yeah, he probably did meet one of the nicer ones and they let him go. 1 month later, the food rations have been increased and fewer people are dying. Their rations go in waves like this depending on how imminent the Khmer Rouge feels the danger is of the Vietnamese invading. Money gets spent on arms, and in return, the food rations are depleted and vice versa. Families are starting to disappear from the village overnight. The Angkar are starting to fear the families that they stole the fathers from in the event that they uprise in anger, so their solution is to just kill them. Because they're afraid they're going, oh shit, we stole these fathers and now all these people hate us and they could uprise against us.
Mm-hmm.
Because Pa is taken from them, Ma is starting to fear that their family will be next. She tells Loung, Cho, and Kim that they have no choice but to leave the village separately and all go in different directions. They will have to walk as far as they can until they come upon a camp where they will tell them that they are orphans. This way, their past will never be discovered. Ma and Gek will have to stay in Rolip. In the morning, Ma wakes the children early, packs them up, and tells them never to come back.
They won't be suspicious that most of the family disappeared. They're not going to be like, oh, now we're killing you because you did that.
To Ma and Gek?
Yeah. Seems like a thing they wouldn't like, people
Yeah,
escaping.
I thought about this also. You'll see how things turn out. But there is a period of time where I was wondering, why was she not questioned? I'm sure she was, but
Yeah,
they
don't like
just
that
don't
stuff.
mention it in the book. Because there's no way of... the story is being told from Loung, so she wouldn't know.
Maybe it's that the village doesn't really care.
Yeah.
And they're the only ones that are familiar with how many people are in the house. Like, they probably don't have perfect bookkeeping. So they go around later and the soldiers would just assume, okay, I guess this family only has 2.
Or they died or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I honestly was wondering the same thing. In the morning, Ma wakes the children early, packs them up, and tells them never to come back. The kids protest, not wanting to leave their family behind, but in order to get them to leave, she tells them she doesn't want them anymore. Tears stream down their faces as they walk out of Rolip, not knowing if they will ever see their mother or their siblings ever again. Now you got to keep in mind that Kim is the oldest. He's only 12. So you have like Loung, who's 7. I think Cho is 9 and 12. And you're just saying,
It's
see you
fun.
later.
It's every child's dream. I did that. I'd run away from home. These kids, they really did it.
As Loung walks further away from Rolib, she feels resentment towards her mother. How could she separate their family like that? Why couldn't she be strong enough to stand up to the Khmer with the family together, like Pa?
Excuse me?
She's a
Hello?
child. She's a child. She's wondering. She's mad.
That's true. I got mad because I got the wrong snowboard boots when I was a kid, so I get it.
Kim says goodbye to his sisters and separates from them at his mother's advice. However, Loung and Cho, against their mother's instructions, stay together. Loung, who is only 7 years old, cannot bear to separate from her older sister. They walk all day until they find a camp surrounded by vegetable gardens and children around the same age as them. They are approached by a woman who appears to be the camp supervisor. This is Mei Bong, a name used to describe the leader of the camp. Mei Bong interrogates Chow and Loung who they are and where they came from. They tell her that they are orphans whose parents died working in the countryside and they need somewhere to stay. Fortunately, or unfortunately, for them, this is an all-girls children's work camp. They work in the fields all day in order to send food to the soldiers who are working on the battlefield. They are defending Cambodia.
Well, as opposed to what? As opposed to the other camp, which was a pony riding club? I mean,
Yeah,
they're all fucking work camps.
They're all basically the same, just some are differentiated by, oh, this one has families that have no purpose. This one is orphaned girls. This one is child soldiers. That's how it goes.
I think you want to be a child soldier, honestly. I think that's best case situation is
Well,
you
you're
get
about to see.
Oh.
The soldiers are defending Cambodia from the Vietnamese, who they call the Yuans. Cho and Loung are granted permission to live and work here. Every night, the children gather around a bonfire where they are told stories of propaganda. And every night, these stories cause more and more hatred to boil inside of Loung towards the Khmer Rouge. In this camp, the kids bully and abuse Loung and Cho for their light skin. They throw mud and spit on them as they walk by. One day, while in line to get their rations, a girl named Ronnie calls Loung a stupid Chinese Yuan, which lights a fire in Loung and causes her to turn around and jump on her, choking and beating her until she bleeds.
Nice.
Slay. Mei Bong grabs Loung and punishes her, making her water the garden all night long. The girls stop abusing Loung after that, but continue to harass Cho, who isn't strong enough to stand up for herself. August 1977, 3 months living in the girls' camp. Mei Bong has been keeping an eye on Loung for her hard work and strength. She decides that Loung will be transferred to a different camp where stronger kids live and work to prepare to be child soldiers. This means she will have to separate from Cho, who Met Bong thinks is weak and has been transferred to work in the rations kitchen. Loung says goodbye to her sister and is sent off to walk an hour away to another camp. This camp seems similar to the last. 80 girls live here who have been selected by their strength to be here. At night, they are joined by the equivalent boys' camp for nightly propaganda. But here, they have instruments where they can play music and dance, which is strange because they were told that these things were banned. And here, Loung hears genuine laughter for the first time in years. Because these songs and dances are performed as propaganda for the Angkar, they allow it. Mei Bong asks Loung to be a part of the dance team in case the soldiers come to visit. Loung is thrilled about this because it means half of her day will be spent at dance rehearsals instead of the entire day spent working in the fields. So maybe you are right about the child soldiers. Seems pretty good.
Yeah.
At this camp, there is a boy who works daily in the palm trees. Whenever Loung sees him, he waves his hands and smiles to her. The first genuine act of kindness that Loung has experienced in a very long time. When Loung goes to work in the rice fields, the fields are filled with water that is loaded with leeches that cling to your feet. And dance rehearsals mean less leeches. It is now September, and Loung has been at this new camp for 2 months. The Angkar are going all over the country collecting strong children to work as soldiers against the Yuan. They are told they must kill their traitor parents and dedicate their lives to the Angkar. Nobody in the camp makes friends with each other because they could risk having their past exposed. If Mei Bong finds out that any of the children have even eaten chocolate in their past, she will beat them relentlessly. Isn't that fucked up?
Yeah.
Eventually, only 40 girls are left in the camp as most of them have left to go to work with the soldiers. Mei Bong brings tools to the girls at night and shows them how they can be used as weapons, like how items like a hammer or a rake can be used to kill someone. They are also taught how to use actual weapons like rifles. Mei Bong says the Yuans are invading the country, raping and attacking the Cambodians, so the girls have to take turns standing guard at night. Kind of funny how they're saying that the Vietnamese are invading and attacking the Cambodians and raping them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if only the Cambodians weren't doing that to themselves.
Yeah. This is definitely one of those Norm Macdonald, the worst thing about it is the hypocrisy things. They're very hypocritical, these people.
They're very hypocritical. Mm-hmm. The girls tell stories of a bodiless witch who at night her head separates from her body, dragging her intestines on the ground. She has red eyes and she spends the night searching for a dead body to lay with. And she spends her time laying with it and eating the dead body. Just thought I'd throw that little
What the hell?
mystical story in there.
Okay.
In November of 1977, Mei Bong allows the girls a day of rest where they are permitted to go and visit their families. Loung tells Mei Bong that she will go to visit her sister Cho, but in actuality, she will sneak off to Ro Leap to see if she can find her Ma and Gek, even though Ma told her never to come back. When Loung arrives at Ro Leap, it appears to be a deserted town. She finds Ma and Gek working in the vegetable garden. Ma is shocked when she sees Loung and immediately takes Luang's permission slip to the chief. Gek is now 5, but much smaller than Loung when she was that age. She looks incredibly sick, like she is withering away, the bones protruding from her face. Ma tells Loung that she went to another village to try to barter with a woman using hidden ruby earrings for chicken meat for Gek. When she came back to the hut to retrieve the chicken, a man was there waiting for her and beat her until she could barely stand. He told Ma never to come back and stole the earrings. Ma shows Loung the bruises left on her body, which fills Loung with more and more hatred towards the Khmer Rouge. Ma also tells Loung that Cho was able to come and meet Ma as well as bring them food. Because she works in the kitchen at the old camp, she is able to smuggle food to Ma and Gek once a month. After their brief reunion, Loung leaves Rolip not knowing if she will ever see Ma and Gek again. In May 1978, food rations are reduced again, a sign that the Khmer Rouge think the Yuans are nearing.
Hopefully they are. Hopefully they come in and kill all of you, because this fucking sucks.
Loung is so weak that she is too tired to remove the leeches from her legs while working in the rice fields. She asks Mei Bong for a permission slip to go to the infirmary, and although this is granted, Mei Bong fires Loung from the dance troupe. Loung makes her way to the infirmary, which takes until morning to walk to, as there is only one in the area. When she gets there, there is over 200 patients staying there on the verge of death. This is where people come to die. Loung hears a faint voice in the room calling her name, making her think she is hearing things. When she looks over, to her surprise, she sees Ma, Gek, Meng, Cho, and Kim. Everyone in the family except Koi is there.
In the infirmary?
Yes. Surprisingly, everyone is together and all the siblings just happened to come to the infirmary on their own at the same time. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is weird.
Here, they spend a few nights together, cherishing every moment that the family is together. It's miraculous that this even happened. And after 1 week of being in the infirmary, the nurses force them to leave one by one. Isn't that crazy? When I read that, I was like, how is that possible?
Mm-hmm. That never works in my favor in life. Where I bump into people I want to see. It's always like, I'm at Costco and there's that guy again.
For the 5th time. In November of 1978, the camp is ramping up for the Yuan invasion. Loung feels an overpowering urge to go see her Ma and Gek. When nobody's looking, she escapes through the fence and starts on a long journey back to Rolip. After hours of walking, she finally gets there, and when she arrives at the old hut, Ma and Gek are not there, but their belongings are. A woman Loung doesn't know approaches her and tells her that the night before, Ma and Gek were taken away from the soldiers and have yet to return. They both know what that means and that they won't be returning. Gek was only 5 years old, and Loung now is no longer lying when she says she's an orphan.
They killed the mom and Gek?
Yeah.
This story is ass.
They killed a 5-year-old.
Why? I don't get it.
For what? Probably because the children were sent away. Probably because they took Pa and they were fearing uprising. Maybe she stole something for Gek. Could have been many reasons.
It's the craziest thing about this, to me, aside from just what it is that this is happening worse in North Korea right now.
I know.
Isn't that crazy? Like, you'd think that this would be some... First of all, it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
There's people...
1978 is where we're at.
Right, so there's tons of people from this time that are still
alive.
alive.
This is 10 years before you were born.
This is mind-boggling. And it's... So we are in the thick of it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think about the KSI song. I know some people at home. I'm cutting that out. I don't even want that. We are in the thick of it. And that is horrifying.
Yeah.
You could wake up...
Nobody cares and nobody's doing anything about it. Well, you can't because you could... Kim Jong-un would just blast a nuclear weapon at America.
That is so crazy. Imagine just waking up in the body of a North Korean farmer, Freaky Friday style. And then they get to be here. So really blow their mind.
It'd be good for them. Bad for you.
I have this theory. You know how, like, you're you in your body and mind?
Yeah.
And then you just have all your stuff, but like you wake up and there's just your consciousness or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. Not even your consciousness, the thing behind your consciousness, just the sense of like presence that your senses attached to, right?
Yeah.
Like smell, sight, hearing. What if like every few days we switch bodies and you just swap with someone else, but you have no memory of being in the previous body? So like right now I woke up today and I think I am Alex Byron. I've been him for 35 years and I have that through line, right? What if this is day one for me and someone else had Alex Byron and I've actually been a North Korean farmer and I just woke up and the only thing that remains is that sense, but the memory, everything else you swap. And this is the last day too.
Have you been doing drugs?
No, I just said
Is this what you think about when you're on the elliptical at 4 a.m? Blasting it for hours?
Was I even on the elliptical? That's what I'm saying.
It is now January of 1979, and the huts in the camp are hit with a mortar. Explosions are happening all around them, and the huts are going up in flames.
So the Vietnamese are invading?
Girls are laying in pools of their own blood, screaming in horror.
Or are they mortaring their own people?
We'll find out. There is smoke and debris everywhere you look. Another mortar hits the camp, and all the girls scatter to different directions. People are flooding the streets, and Loung runs in the direction of Cho's camp, where she finds Kim and Cho together. I feel like I keep saying Cho's name differently. Cho. It's Cho. Kim says that they have to leave quickly and go in the direction of Mang and Koi's camp. They walk through the night, and it feels like when Phnom Penh was evacuated when everyone was sleeping on the road. Kim leads them in the direction of a deserted village. Here they grab food and supplies to last them the journey and then continue to join people on the road. The chatter tells them that the UN army defeated Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge. They camp for the night with all the people in the field. The next morning they continue on their way and nobody mentions Ma and Gek. But because nobody has suggested to go and find them, it becomes clear that they all know that they are no longer alive. After a few days of walking, they see soldiers in green clothes approaching them. Yuans. The Yuans raise their hands and greet the crowds as they approach, smiling. They tell the people there is a refugee camp up ahead and to keep going. Everyone is shocked. These Yuans didn't try to kill them.
Oh my God. Yes, this is great.
3 weeks.
Unfortunately, they were Khmer Rouge in costume. And when they got there, they were tortured.
3 weeks prior, the Vietnamese defeated the Khmer Rouge. The Khmer were killing people in villages along the Vietnam border, which caused the Vietnamese to take further action. Pol Pot has finally been dethroned, so we think. When they arrive at the refugee camp, they find other orphans.
Are they near the border now?
No, they're like still near Phnom Penh.
They need to get out of this fucking country!
When they arrive at the refugee camp, they find other orphans near a tree and decide to camp with them. Kim asks a family nearby if they can live with them, but they say no, they can't afford to take them in. Though the father of this family feels bad and is determined to find them a family who is willing to take them. In January 1979, this man finally finds a family willing to take all 3 children in. Seeming like we're on the up, hey?
No. I'm not me. I'm not that guy. I'm not a Mark. I know exactly where this is going. RuPaul. He makes an appearance every episode. Have you noticed that? Hi guys, how's it going?
RuPaul.
My name's RuPaul.
RuPaul.
Come on.
Good boy. This family comes to greet the children, and to Loung's surprise, this is the Palm Tree Boy's family. Remember him? I just said it.
It's really early. I'm really... and I was a North Korean teenager yesterday.
They recognize Loung immediately and state that this is no coincidence and it's meant to be. The kids pack their belongings to go live with this family in their hut, where they will help take care of the kids and work in the garden. When they arrive at the hut, the mother goes through their belongings, mocking the only items they have left that belong to their mother.
Here we go. Here we go.
At first, the palm tree boy is the only nice member of the family, but eventually he begins staring too much at Loung and inappropriately groping her as she works. And
What a surprise.
Unfortunately, she begins to hate him. Womp womp. The girls...
You know, don't get a bad... Okay, I know everyone at home is like, listen, I gotta be honest. I don't think I like Cambodian people. It's just... It's not a good period for Cambodia, okay?
Cambodian people are wonderful. Wonderful
You've
people.
been there.
Yeah.
Why don't you say some nice things about your Cambodian
I will
trip?
when I'm done this horrible story. Loung, who wrote this book and this is her story, is a wonderful person.
Yes.
The girls meet a local girl named Pity. She becomes the first friend they have made in years. Every morning they go out and collect firewood together. One day, while they are collecting firewood, they see a UN soldier out in the distance. All the girls are parched, and so Loung approaches the man to ask him for water, gesturing to his canteen.
That Groper kid is probably still alive.
Probably.
Let's find him. Let's cancel him.
Which he shows is empty. But he gestures for them to follow him, which Loung interprets as him having more water he can give them.
Oh, it's not getting to be what it is it?
When they begin to follow him, he stops them and says only Loung can come.
Oh. Great!
Loung, trying to be brave, says she will go with the soldier and return back with water for the girls. The further and further they get away from Chow and Pity, the further and further they get away from Chew. The further and further they get away from
It's Cho.
Cho. It's really
Bro.
early. The further and further
Okay, I need to leave this part, honestly. And it's like steps away from rape. Chu, Cho, Chong. This has been, there's like
It's really early.
20 times, and this will all be edited out. So you don't understand that she has had like so many.
I'm having a stroke over Cho's name.
Cho.
The further and further they get away from Chow.
Just stop. All right. We'll see you guys next week. We're not doing this. I as you started saying that, I went, there's no way. There's no way she's about to say it wrong. And then you did.
Is it Cho?
Show some respect.
Chew.
It's Cho! You're like the old man who
Chew.
can't crispy, crumbly flake. Flaky, crumbly flake. Crispy, crumbly bake. Come on, do it. If you say it wrong this time, this show's over.
My God. The further and further they get away from Cho and Pity.
Oh, yeah, is this funny to you?
can't say
Is
the
that so?
name.
It's funny that she's about to be raped. I'm gonna edit out all that other stuff now.
The further and further they get away from Cho and Pity, Loung starts to get a bad feeling. She turns to run, but the soldier grabs her and throws her on the ground. He demands that Loung lays down, and she pleads with him to let her go. He unbuttons his pants and exposes his bright red boxers. He then exposes himself, a sight that Loung, who is a child, only 8 years old, has never seen, and it utterly disgusts her. She can see her reflection in his eyes and the terror in her eyes as he tugs her pants down. She screams as loud as she can, which shocks him and makes him look around. While he's looking away, Loung quickly pulls her pants up and tries to escape. He grabs her by the ankles as she screams and cries. She's filled from top to bottom with a surge of anger and kicks him straight in the groin. He falls to the ground, screaming, and she runs as fast as she can, finding the other girls and running out of the jungle. She sees him at the base and runs after him to try to beat him up, but is stopped when she steps on a piece of glass. When she returns back to the hut, the mother is mad that they didn't bring enough firewood back home. Reading that part of the book, I was very scared. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. But then she kicks him right in the nads and gets away.
That's right.
Thank fucking God.
That guy might still be alive.
I fucking hope not. And this is a Vietnamese guy.
That guy's dead.
This is a Vietnamese soldier.
Oh, that was Vietnamese soldier.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was like... Because red boxers, rouge, I thought they had...
No. Ew. The fuck is wrong with them? It's a child.
I mean, I have so much disdain for people. I'm not surprised at anything anymore. And what is depraving their mind? They didn't even have Pornhub they didn't have shit.
It makes me think that the laws set in place that, like, if you rape a child, you go to jail is the only thing preventing men from doing this horrible shit. Because all of a sudden, you're in a country with no laws, no government.
Why are you able to get a boner around an 8-year-old?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I guess just opportunistic pedophiles. Because I'd like to think that, like, if you're not a pedophile, you aren't like in any situation you're not wanting to have sex with an 8 is really young.
Yes.
That's not like it's like major single digit. I don't know, man.
Really fucked up.
I want to give another shout out to God, who once again is putting glass. Actually, that's probably good that she didn't. He probably would have killed her. If she
Yeah,
chased
the
him
fact
into
that
camp.
she's only 8 and she was like, fuck this motherfucker.
Yeah.
I'm going to go fuck him up.
Maybe the glass was a good thing.
Yeah.
God works in mysterious ways. Well, why did you let him expose his boner to... Why did you let any of this happen, God? Why didn't you make Pol Pot have a brain aneurysm one day before the beginning of this? Maybe the one silver lining of this is that it's so bad that it really did like weaken communism. The situations like this where you go like, you know, like the new leaders in China and Russia are like, listen, we're not going to admit it, but we're not going to actually do communism. It's not working.
Well, also, you know, I think that America likes to stick their fingers where they shouldn't a lot of the time. But learning about this, I kind of understand why they got involved in the Vietnam War. Should they have? Probably not.
Yeah, that is
But
true. Yeah.
they were trying to prevent communism, right?
Yeah.
And when you read stuff like this, you go, yeah, I don't fucking want that shit.
Yeah, it's important to remember that
Because look at North Korea. Nobody stopped North Korea from becoming a communist country. And now they have nukes and nobody can do anything.
that's true. That is true.
So everyone can shit on America does fuck up a lot of the time. They do things that they shouldn't do. They love war. And for a long period of time, I thought, because when I was studying the Vietnam War in Vietnam, I was going, this is fucking disgusting that the Americans came over and they killed so many Vietnamese people.
Yeah.
But imagine if they hadn't.
Well, it ultimately, in that situation, probably wasn't the best idea because communism collapsed pretty quickly in Vietnam.
Yeah.
But it does help you to understand the motivation, and it does justify it somewhat to read about something like this and go, you know, in that situation, yeah, I mean, you don't want communism to take over.
Communism needs to be nipped in the bud. Get rid of it.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
so
you have
why-
8-year-old girls getting assaulted in the jungles.
So why hasn't it collapsed in North Korea? It stopped so quickly in Vietnam.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's a success.
Yeah, but they're
They're not a successful country by any means.
Is it because of the nukes? They basically like manipulate the rest of the world to
Yes,
give
nobody
them
wants to go do anything.
resources.
They're incredibly armed. Incredibly armed. Nobody knows what's going on inside of there.
And they're like backed by China, right? And like Russia.
Yes, and
They are. Russia is like Vladimir Putin's like friends with.
I
Kim
know.
Jong-un. Yeah.
I know. It's February of 1979, and they have been living with this family for a month. Keem tells his siblings that the family can no longer afford to take care of them, and that they have to leave to find another family to live with. That afternoon, the kids leave without saying goodbye, and the father takes them to another family. This family lives in a larger hut with a big garden. Loung is tasked with taking care of their baby. This family secretly practices Buddhism and prays to the gods every day, and they wear new, colorful clothes, unlike the black pajamas that the kids are still left with. One day, while Loung is doing laundry in the river, she finds a dead body covered in maggots. They are also collecting water and are forced to push the body downstream as not to taint the drinking water. At the end of the day, they catch red-eye disease from the body, but the mother says that they got it from watching dogs have sex, a dirty act that they were cursed by the gods for watching.
You think that excuse me. You think that the gods are watching the rape and pillaging of the country? Well, nothing to see here. Hey, there's a child watching dogs have sex over there. Give them an eye infection. That's evil. Why doesn't Pol Pot have an eye infection? Because he's not watching dogs have sex.
Exactly. Why doesn't Pol Pot have a full body infection? For being an evil, horrible man. Yeah. In February of 1979, the family is awoken by loud explosions. The huts all around them are set on fire again. Everyone follows each other out of the hut and takes shelter in a nearby abandoned warehouse. Pitty and her family are also sheltering in this warehouse. Rockets fly all throughout the night, and everyone stays as quiet as possible as not to be noticed. In the morning, another rocket hits the warehouse.
So the Khmer Rouge has not fully lost? They're just moving in?
Yeah, they're in the middle of this war. Mm-hmm. Loung reaches for Pitty, but when she turns to look, Pitty is laying face down in her own blood with her skull caved in. Her mom screams in horror, and while everyone is escaping, Pitty's mom stays behind, unwilling to let her daughter go.
How did she singularly...
No, I think a bunch of people died in this warehouse, but she happened to be one of them. Oh. Something fell on her, something happened.
Yeah.
Their only friend. Kim, Cho, and Loung take shelter behind a cement wall.
This would be a good time for a BetterHelp ad.
Yeah.
But I've heard that company isn't good, so I don't know I just go find a good therapist if you're sad and, my therapist died recently. So cherish your therapist while you have him.
While they are hiding here, they notice that they are standing on a hornet's nest.
Oh my God.
Which begins to attack them, but there's nothing they can do but stay put. Dude, it's just so horrible.
Yeah, although if the story was from the point of view of the hornets...
No, the hornets attack when they're mad.
They're getting crushed by giant...
Hey, you motherfucker, you're destroying our house.
Yeah. What would you do if someone came and destroyed your house? They don't know about all this geopolitical communist shit.
A few hours later, they find the foster family who tells them that the village has been cleared, which was attacked by the Khmer Rouge. They slaughtered families, cutting off the heads of people and hanging them outside of their houses. They return back to the village, which has been taken back by the Vietnamese. In April of 1979, Kim returns back from his daily search at the new arrivals camp for Meng and Khoi, with his brothers. Meng takes Cho and Loung and tells the family they won't be returning. By now, Meng is 22 and Khoi is 20. Meng and Khoi have been living with their friends in a tent with Khoi's wife. Meng says the plan is to get prepared to return to the uncle's village and try to find them. A long journey ahead. Yay!
So they don't know what happened to Pitty's mom, hey? They just left.
I do know what happened to Pitty's mom. Eventually, Pitty's brother got them out of there, and Loung was seeing the brother around the village and would approach him, and he said that she was in the infirmary, and then he became very hostile and mean. So I think that means that she passed away in the infirmary as well, because she also had injuries.
All right.
Yeah. In March, the Vietnamese captured a Khmer Rouge soldier and hand him over to the people to deal with. Loung goes to watch what the village people will do to this soldier. People are yelling at him about how he ruined their lives, and 2 women step forward whose children were killed by the Khmer Rouge. One old woman beats him in the head with a hammer, and the other stabs him over and over again, completing a public execution. Everybody watched, but nobody cheered. So they're mad. That part in the book was very intense. I summed it up in about 3 sentences. It was about an entire chapter of them just describing how they brutally executed this Khmer soldier. In April, all the kids pack up their belongings and start on their journey to Bat Bang, where their uncles live. They walk all day and night, stopping only to rest briefly. Loung begins losing count of how many days they have been on the road, and they are running out of food. Eventually, they see their uncle bike past them, who caught wind that they were on their way. The whole family is still living in the village. They were spared as they were considered base people. Their aunt gets them new clothes, and they wash themselves properly for the first time in months. Everyone sobs when they hear the story and the losses of their parents and siblings. In this village, rice is used as currency. The market here has banned things such as food, like dumplings and books. The market here has banned things, as in, I realize I worded that very weird. The market there has banned items, like dumplings and books.
Okay.
Their uncles arrange a marriage between Meng and an orphaned girl named Ieng. Ieng's sister comes on a day looking for her, telling her that her family is alive in Vietnam. Meng and Ieng leave right away to Vietnam. A few weeks later, Meng returns, telling the family that they need to escape to Thailand through Vietnam. They must go to Vietnam by sneaking in 10 ounces of gold and to be transferred to a refugee camp in Thailand. After they will arrive in Thailand, they can apply to be sponsored to go to America. Meng says he will take Loung because she's the youngest and has the most opportunity. At the end of the week, they say goodbye to everyone and take off on Meng's bike, heading on their journey to Vietnam. In October of 1979, they arrive back in Phnom Penh. The city looks destroyed and burned. People are living all over the streets. The liveliness of the city Loung once knew is gone. They go to their old house, which is littered with bullets, and inside, random people call this run-down apartment their home. After Phnom Penh, they make their way to the shipping port and get on an old boat where Meng hands the fisherman the gold. The fisherman drives the boat away from Cambodia, leaving behind the devastation and loss. Meng and Loung hide under a tarp covered in fish as to not be seen by others and reported to the authorities, where they could face up to 5 years in jail. Once docked, they take a bus to Saigon. Saigon is a lively and beautiful city with life and laughter. Here they live for 2 months with Yang's family, who are very nice and supportive people. Meng and Loung are eating tons of food, and the life is suddenly coming back into their faces. Eventually, they move to a houseboat with Yang's sister. They live on the houseboat for 3 months until they are ready to go, and the boat moves into the middle of the ocean, and they transfer onto a larger boat with 98 other people escaping. And in February of 1980, they arrive at Lam Sing refugee camp in Thailand. Here, they are registered and given clean clothes and a place to stay while they wait for a sponsor from America. They convert to Christianity as Christians are more likely to be sponsored by religious groups. It has been 8 months since they left Cambodia, and on June 5th, someone finally sponsors them to come to America. In 1 week, they get on a plane at Bangkok International Airport and make their way to Vermont, where they will begin their new lives. Loung ended up getting an education where she excelled in soccer and cheerleading as a youngster. Cho married when she was 18 and had children and started a business in Cambodia. In 1988, Kim made the same path to go to the USA that Meng and Loung did. Yang and Meng got jobs at IBM and had children. Kyoy also had children and started a business with his wife in Cambodia.
That's mind-blowing that that person was working in an IBM cubicle.
I know. After that.
And you the person beside them is like, oh, I can't believe we have to start at 8:45 today. And the coffee machine isn't even working. I had to eat a skull for nourishment. God, never complain, guys. No complaining.
Loung got a political science degree and devoted her life to telling her story traveling around the world. Eventually, she returned to Cambodia as an adult to see her family after all these years. She was greeted warmly by her entire family at the airport and was embraced in the arms of her older sister Cho.
Wow.
In July of 1979, Pol Pot established a new headquarters in Mount Thom and changed his name to Pem. In September, the Khmer Rouge announced they were establishing a new united front. In October, Pol Pot ordered an end to executions. In November, the United Nations General Assembly voted to recognize the Khmer Rouge delegations as the legitimate government of Cambodia. In December, Pol Pot was replaced as prime minister, possibly trying to improve the image of the Khmer Rouge. In 1981, Pol Pot decided to dissolve the Communist Party.
Why did they allow the...
That's what I want to know.
Why did they do that?
That's what I want to know.
The United Nations sucks.
Many people thought this was a ruse and that it was going underground. Many things happened between 1981 and Pol Pot's death in 1998 due to a heart attack.
He died peacefully in his bed.
But between that time,
That's great.
Pol Pot remained a prominent figure of Cambodia.
That's right, folks. There's no comeuppance at all.
Eventually, the Khmer Rouge effectively ceased to exist.
They just kind of faded out.
Yes. No justice. None.
Except for that one guy that got hammered to death. And knowing life, he was probably like one of the good ones. That's always how it is, right?
Yeah.
In these dark movies, like that guy would be like the good guy.
Yeah.
They never get the bad one. They never get the rapist.
The fact that Pol Pot was able to continue working in government until his death in 1998, there was a little...
Some of them were found guilty.
Yeah, there was a little part that I kind of just skimmed over. I would have to literally do an episode on Pol Pot about how he was sought out by a group of people.
He had to go into exile.
Yeah,
basically.
he went into hiding.
Yeah.
And then it was reported that he had a heart attack, but there's a little bit of controversy around that, if that is how he really died. But the fact that he was even able to live normally until 1998 is insane.
Yeah. He outlived Biggie and Tupac.
Yeah. And he got to wear his fucking glasses while he did that. Disgusting.
So of that family, the dad and mom died.
Yeah.
The 5-year-old died.
And Keeve.
And Keeve
died.
The
oldest girl.
The oldest girl. Wow.
I highly suggest that you guys read First They Killed My Father by Loung. She goes into way more detail about her story.
Yeah.
There's also, it was made into a movie by Angelina Jolie with the same name. I think it's on Netflix. Angelina Jolie's kids are adopted from Cambodia, so she has like a...
Oh, that's where she adopts.
Yeah, she has a deep connection. Some nice things about Cambodia.
Yeah.
Cambodia is a beautiful country. Very young population because of what happened. It's my favorite country in the world.
Cambodia.
I love visiting there. It's beautiful. The people are friendly. The food is delicious. Angkor Wat is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. It's wonderful. If anybody ever gets a chance to go there, I highly suggest you do. And you should, if you go, visit the killing fields and some of the concentration camps that are in the cities. So just to learn.
Yeah. So what do you make of this kind of war? And I mean, it's not really even a war. It's like it's a genocide.
It's a genocide. Yeah.
What do you make? of this happening in the 70s, the people basically getting away with it.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, what? We have so much power as humans. We're at the top of the food chain. We have limited time on this earth. There's a big universe. What are we doing?
2 million people were killed in the Cambodian genocide. And nobody talks about it. They were just given a pass. See ya. Have fun.
Yeah. I think that after Pol Pot died, I was Googling this. I think that some of his cohorts were brought into court, but they were, it's like when you prosecute Nazis in their 90s. It's like, all right, sure, whatever.
There's a really wonderful documentary called Enemies of the People, where this journalist whose family was killed by the Khmer Rouge in the killing fields goes to talk to former Khmer Rouge soldiers as a journalist. They don't know that his family was killed by them, to try to get answers.
Oh.
And at the time that this was made.
Yeah, I really want to watch that, because after hearing episode 1, I was kind of looking it's really interesting to see the actual footage after hearing the story.
Yeah. I'm trying to find this. Okay, so the second in command to Pol Pot was a man named Nguyen Chea, who is still alive at the time that this documentary was made. Okay. So he goes to interview him.
The second in command was still alive?
Yes.
Wow.
And he was just living a regular life in the countryside. So yeah, this guy goes to interview him. And I think he just says, like, I'm doing a story on the history of Cambodia, and he, like, befriends him to get him to be, like, comfortable.
So what does he say?
You'll have to see it. You have to watch it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for checking out another bonus features. Do you know what we're doing next week?
Yes. Next week.
Why don't you tease it?
Next week, we're doing something a little more. There still has a little bit of sadness, which you guys seem to really enjoy. But for the most part, it's hilarious. I think it's going to be a lot more funny than this. We need a break from the... I was like, maybe I'll do North Korea. Maybe I'll do a Holocaust story. And I was like, maybe not. Maybe I'll do something...
I liked it when they got out. That was great.
Yeah, and that's...
It was very cinematic, the way they are sailing out of there. Oh.
Well, a part I left out is that when they're on the ship going to Thailand, they get stopped by pirates. And the pirates rob them. Just to...
Yeah.
I was like, that we've heard enough sadness here. But when the pirates realize that they're refugees from Cambodia, they're actually really nice to them and they feed them. Then they rob them. Then they put them back on the ship and they say good luck and send them away.
So how did they get I missed this one part. How did they get the gold that they used to get out in the end?
They must have had it. Maybe the uncles gave it to them. They just needed 10 ounces of gold. And I think a lot of people were hiding gold at the time. Like they were sewing it into their clothes or, yeah.
Well, all right. Thanks
next week, we are going to be covering the story of Action Park.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Which is fucking crazy.
Yeah. I'm excited for this. You know, that documentary, the story is really good. And I think a lot of people still don't know about it.
I know.
Yeah. It really is. I mean, it's funny because there's such different stories. One is about a horrific genocide. The other's about an amusement park that's poorly managed. And yet there is some overlap here because both stories give you that sense of like, is this real?
Yeah.
Like, is it like there another thing happens and another thing happens and you're like, this happened. What was it? Was this a medieval amusement park? It's like, no, this happened very recently. There's people in my Discord that went to Action Park.
I know. There's people who are going to listen to this who went to Action Park.
Yeah. So
people getting right. Well, let's just tease this. A slide with teeth stuck into the slide. And when you go down it, you bash your body on the teeth and you come out with lacerations.
Oh, Action Park.
A hidden gem of the world.
All right, guys.
Okay, if you want bonus episodes,
Yeah.
please join Christie's Movie Club Patreon. Tier 2 subscribers get bonus episodes every single week. And if you would like to write in your own interesting story, we will feature a listener's tale on every bonus episode. You can write in your story of family terror, of survival, hometown true crime.
The last one was great.
Yeah, paranormal, silly, goofy story, anything, to bonusfeatures.contact@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram, bonusfeatures_podcast.
And if you want to enjoy my comedy without me having to shoehorn it into rape and murder, please check out my streams on TikTok at Everyday Alex, Monday through Friday. I'm messing around, doing prank calls, having a lot of fun, and you can watch for free and enjoy.
Have a laugh from all this depressing stuff. All right, bye guys.
Bye.